And it was like this thing. Meri and I broke up, but just, can I have that stuff back?
My plan has been to cut this up and give it back to him.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Happily Ever Reality. It's been a while since I posted a video. I definitely dropped the ball when it came to talking about the previous 2 episodes of Sister Wives, but it was the holiday season. I was really busy. My house was very chaotic. Now that's all calmed down and I am back. Today we're going to be talking about season 19, episode 16. It is titled Time to Weep, Time to Laugh. And the first person I want to talk about is Christine.
You know how sometimes some brides are like, I'm so excited, I can't wait for it to be over. I am not there. I'm just excited for the day.
In this episode, we are only 2 days away from Christine's wedding, and to no one's surprise, she is totally into it. This is the wedding she's always wanted. At this point in the show, the family is all gathering together. They have to do the rehearsal. There is a part of all of this where they're discussing the wedding, where they bring up the fact that Cody, Meri, and Robin are not invited. I don't know why they would be. And that's basically what Christine says. Like, why would she invite them? I'm going to throw a clip in here just because I don't want to overlook Christine and her part of this episode. This is her talking about those 3 not being invited.
Why would I invite them? It's my ex and his wife and ex-sister wife.
I feel the same way, Christine. I don't know why you would invite them either, and I think most viewers feel the same way. I'm actually wondering why the producers are asking absolutely ridiculous questions. Of course, she didn't invite them. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say about Christine and her part of the show. If you've watched the wedding special, you know, some of this stuff will overlap with that. It's nice to watch, but there's just not a lot to say. The only thing that stood out that I don't remember seeing during the wedding show was Avalon wandered off at one point and they were all sort of frantically looking for her because there's a river right there near the wedding venue and they were afraid she was going toward it, but she wasn't really lost at all. She was actually with Tony's mom. So everything was just fine. But you know, you panic when you can't find your kid. And if you're near water, it's even worse. But that's really all I have to say about that. We know Christine is going to have a beautiful wedding. So I'm sure we're going to see that in the next episode or maybe even the one following that. Now let's spend a few minutes talking about Meri. I have to tell you, I found this to be a little bit funny. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. Meri, she is deconstructing a quilt in this episode. That is what is all focused on. Meri and Jen are together at the B&B. Meri tells Jen that she has a project they need to work on, and what they're going to be doing is literally taking apart a quilt that Meri has made. Meri says she made this quilt for their 10th anniversary, and when she said that, my first thought was, okay, she took shirts from vacation spots or things they did together, and she made this quilt, which is kind of true. There were shirts from their honeymoon and things they did together, but some of the shirts were from before they even got married, like when they were younger. So this quilt is just really a quilt of old shirts in general. It's not all like a romantic anniversary quilt. It is Cody and Meri's old t-shirts as well as ones from after their marriage. I hope that makes sense. It's going to. If you watch the episode, you know why this matters. Basically, Cody contacted Meri to say, I want my old shirts back.
Mentioned to me, he's like, do you have those t-shirts? I'm like, yeah, on that quilt. He wants them back.
So Meri explains that, and then she tells Jen that they're going to cut them off of the quilt. And I was like, this is craziness, and I love it. Like, she has gotten really spiteful. She is going to hand back squares of shirts and say, you can have your shirts back. But then this other part of me was like, she has every right to have her part of it too, you know? And it's also really, really annoying that Cody called her and asked for it. But what I don't understand, and you guys can let me know if you understood it when you were watching it, was, does Cody want those cut up squares or does Cody think he's getting the quilt back? Is it the quilt or the shirts that are cut up? Because later on, when he's talking about the situation, he says that Meri took control of all of his stuff. So Meri took all of his shirts. Meri, took control of it. That's the narrative he wants, right? He's trying to blame this all on Meri. She took control of it, and he never considered that other wives may want that stuff. He's really wanting to blame this on Meri, and I just don't see anything to blame her for here. She made a quilt. That was nice of her. It was an anniversary gift. I really don't know what he's trying to pull here, but the whole thing is wild. He knows that's in a quilt. So does he want the quilt back or the shirt squares?
And it was like this thing. Meri and I broke up. Can I have that stuff back?
My plan has been to cut this up and give it back to him.
I genuinely hope that he thought he would get the quilt back and he is not happy. I know I shouldn't wish unhappiness for people, but he's already unhappy. So I'm basically just hoping that it doesn't change. Right? And I think the fact that he asked for this stuff back, knowing it was put into a quilt with stuff from their marriage, as well as stuff from her own adolescence, I just think he was doing it to be spiteful. But you guys can let me know down in the comments what you think, because I got a little confused. I was like, who is the person here that is the problem? Is it Cody asking for this back, or is Meri letting some of her anger out by cutting it up? What do you guys think? I just thought it was funny. I have to admit, I enjoyed this part of the show. You can tell that Jen does not think this is a good idea. She's like, take a picture of it and send it to him, right? He had to know all of it was in the quilt. So what? I don't know. It was one of those things. I have to know what you guys think. I believe truly that even though Cody says he's not going to talk bad about Meri and he's letting go of the anger he had toward Meri, I do not believe that's true. I think every time he sees Christine, Meri, or Janelle doing well in life and being happy, he just gets angrier and angrier. And he mentioned that he never considered that the other wives may want those shirts. The only wife left is Robin, and I just don't imagine her asking for these cut up t-shirts. I could be wrong. I just don't think she's at home dwelling on t-shirts that he had before they were together. But again, I've been wrong about Robin on certain things. I really didn't picture her as a hoarder, but there's just so much evidence that her home is crazy. I can't even deny it. Like, I saw some clutter, but I didn't think it was as bad as it was. And you guys let me know in the comments I was wrong. I also heard like McKelty and Tony talking about it. I was wrong about her in that area. So maybe I'm wrong about this. I just think it's weird that all of a sudden she would want the shirts that were in this quilt. When Meri's doing this, she does not care at all. She is not emotional about cutting this up. When it's done, it's done. She separates them, and that's all there is. I do want to put one more clip of Meri talking just to show how much she has changed, and she really has. She is over the situation with Cody, and I really liked what she said here in this clip.
How I feel about myself is not negotiable with you. So whatever it is that you say to me or about me is irrelevant.
I'm glad she is in that place, because Cody really does continue to insult her, not in the way that he used to. I think in the past he was really mean and very straightforward with saying he didn't love her anymore. He didn't want to be around her. He didn't consider her a wife while they were still married. That stuff was horrible, but I think he does it in his own way now. He's trying to look like the bigger person, but you can still tell that he throws something out there when he can, like him saying she was controlling all of his stuff and that she ended up with all of the t-shirts. And then after he says that, they do a confessional with her where she says it was Cody's idea to make the quilt. And he in no way implies that she used t-shirts from things he did with other wives. It's not like, oh, that's Christine and Cody's honeymoon shirt on there, or that's Janelle and Cody's shirt from when they did something. This quilt was made with stuff they did together or stuff from their adolescence. The other wives, as far as I know, do not sew. To me, it feels very natural that this is something he might have mentioned to Meri, or Meri might have offered to do. That's all I'm saying. But he tries to turn it around and sort of insult her and say she is controlling. He's still Cody. He hasn't really changed that much. Now let's talk about Cody and Robin. The show actually started out with them. It was a little bit of a dramatic moment. Robin and Cody are doing some four-wheeling, and Cody says they're going to go four-wheeling and then watch the sunset. But before that happens, Robin is involved in an accident. So she really does sort of fly off of the four-wheeler. And I don't want to minimize the fact that four-wheeling accidents can be serious or deadly. So I understand why he ran over and all of that. I can absolutely understand all of that concern because, again, she did fly into the air and then land. I understand the concern, but there's a but coming here. When he is talking about this during the confessional, which of course happens after all of this has happened, you know, sometimes it is months into the future when they sit down for the confessionals. He says something about having a life flight come out. And just so that you guys see it, I'm going to put the clip in here.
If any tweak of pain hits, we want to stop and get a life flight out here.
Here is my question for you guys, because I know absolutely nothing about this. I just feel like it sounds really weird when he is saying it. If you have an accident like that, like a four-wheeling accident, my thought would be you would call 911, tell them where you were, try to get people out there, explain that you're possibly out in this on this property. There might not be a road there. Tell them what they need to know, but they still had to drive out there, right? I'm just wondering how you go from someone being injured to having a life flight. He kind of acts like he can just get on the phone and have one sent there. And I'm like, that can't possibly be how it is, right? Not there. It's not like they're in the middle of the mountains. I don't know. You guys can let me know. It threw me off a little bit. I'm like, he's just going to pick up the phone and they're going to send like a helicopter or something. I feel like he's being dramatic again. I mean, even though it could be a serious injury, I think we would start with calling for an EMT and paramedics. But I don't live in that area. You guys can let me know if I'm wrong about that. Where I live, you would absolutely have an ambulance and paramedics first. Any flying that would need to happen, that would be their decision, not the person who made the phone call. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It was just one of those things I wondered about. It didn't really make sense to me. Anyway, moving on. Robin gets up off the ground. She says that she's sore, but she is good to go. She doesn't need to go to the hospital or anything. They get back on the four-wheelers. They ride around some more, and eventually they stop, and they start talking. They talk about the past when the whole family was still together. They talk about the issue of the wives not agreeing on living in one house. You know, that was something that Cody really wanted them to do. Cody said he stopped caring when they couldn't come to an agreement. When they no longer wanted to live together, he just didn't care as much. Robin says that she noticed that. There was a change in Cody. She also said she felt like there was a change with the other adults in the family. So she felt this shift happening. And she also says it seemed like they were no longer focusing on the core family that was still living all together, which is something I think we noticed as viewers. Once they weren't living together and they were there in Flagstaff, things were very, very different. However, Robin goes a little bit further with this. I'm going to put the clip in here so you guys can see it. I definitely have an opinion about what she says here.
There was less of this focus on the family, the group, the main part of the family, not the kids out there. And that's where they wanted to focus more on the kids that had moved away.
Robin, who wanted to go to Flagstaff because Dayton was going to school there, doesn't understand why Meri, Janelle, and Christine were focusing more on the kids that had moved out. She doesn't understand that. The difference is they didn't demand that the family followed those adult children. Also, Robin's kids are old enough to start being independent and still aren't because she won't let them go be independent young adults. Christine, Janelle, and Meri were doing that. And just because your kids move out of the house doesn't make them less of your children. You're not going to forget about them because they don't live with you. So of course they're wondering what their kids are doing and wanting to see their grandkids and wanting to go visit them. That's life. That's how it works for most people. Robin is just the exception because she has managed to keep her kids so close to home. I just thought it was funny hearing her say they had changed to focus on those kids when we know that Dayton was one of the reasons that they moved to Flagstaff. When Cody and Robin are out there talking, it just becomes so clear that Robin doesn't really know what's going on with the family because she asked Cody about working things out with Janelle. We have literally watched Janelle look at property in Montana. We know she's looking in North Carolina. She is done. She is out of there, but Robin doesn't seem to know this. She is still discussing this with Cody. Cody actually sort of snaps at her and says, stop pushing it, because she is just wanting him to work this out with Janelle. Like Janelle is her last hope. And at one point, Robin asks if Janelle is interested in working it out, and Cody says, not at all. Like Janelle's not interested. Cody's not interested. What isn't Robin understanding? And during a confessional, Cody mentions that there were many times that Robin pushed for him to maintain his marriages with the other wives, even when those marriages weren't working. We know that she did that a lot with Meri, but according to Cody, she did that with Janelle and Christine as well. And Cody would often listen to her. That is why he stayed married to Meri for as long as he did. I want you guys to see this clip of Janelle talking about Robin having control over Cody in that way.
It's a shame if Cody could be that controlled by Robin that he would try to stay in a relationship, that wasn't working. But if she has that much control over him, that's great.
It's sort of funny because in this part of the show, Cody and Robin are proving Janelle and Christine right. They've said that Robin was in control of things. Robin was putting things in his head. He would do what Robin wanted. And then Robin's like, if they think I can control Cody, they have no idea. No one can control Cody. And then you have Cody saying that Robin wasn't controlling. They were just jealous of her. But here we have it. Something as serious as their marriages and lives, Robin was able to have this huge influence on. He stayed with Meri to the point of being bitter and angry instead of ending things because that's what Robin wanted. I'm really glad that Cody is actually pushing back on this and saying no. And he does it several times in this conversation. He just says that it is not happening. And she must be the denial is serious with her when it comes to this, because how does she not realize that he's not going to see Janelle? He's not talking to her. He's not talking to the kids he has with her. How is she not putting this all together and realizing that it's over? He tells her they're going to be monogamous now. And it's like she's just not getting it. And I don't really understand what the advantage is for her to not see it, because there must be something that she is wanting. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. There must be a reason she is denying it this much. I mean, it sounds like she wasn't even close to Janelle, so why does she care if Cody and Janelle are still together? They weren't great sister wives to each other. They weren't close. I don't really understand what she's gaining from this, but there must be something, because she was still pushing for him to work things out with Janelle. It's abundantly clear during this conversation that Cody is ready to move on. Robin is having a much more difficult time with it. But there was one part of this where I thought Robin was absolutely 100% correct, and that was when she called Cody out on the fact that he says that he didn't love the original 3 wives. She is like, yes, you did. She says what she has said from the beginning of her being on the show, what she found attractive in him and what she loved about him was how much he loved his wives. And so she calls him out. She is like, why are you trying to rewrite history?
Why are you
'Cause now we're
rewriting
not-
the past?
I'm not rewriting the past.
Yes, you have
No,
been,
no,
Cody.
I'm not
She pushes him on this, and he says he doesn't want to compare relationships. And then he adds that he didn't know what deep, divine love was until he was with Robin. So what he's saying is he didn't love them, but he thought he did until he met Robin. And once he experienced that love, the love of a soulmate, he realized he was no longer in love with them. During a confessional, Cody admits that he probably did love those first 3 wives, and he probably is rewriting history. But that's okay because so is everyone else, and he says Meri is doing that specifically. There he goes, bringing up Meri. And he's not insulting her the way he used to, but he's still just like throwing her out there when he can, right? So Cody's thing is he's allowed to change it and look at it whatever way he wants to now. But what I cannot wrap my head around is why he thinks this is going to help him in any way at all. It doesn't make the viewers like him. It doesn't look good to Robin. She doesn't think it's attractive that her husband is saying he spent years and years and years with women that he didn't love. It doesn't make the women he was married to look back fondly on things when he's insulting them and insulting their marriages. And it's not going to make the kids like him anymore either. Because now they're insulting the marriage of their mother and father. And he's insulting the mothers here. It's just crazy. It does not benefit this guy to say he didn't love them. So I don't understand it. But I was glad Robin was calling him out because I do think that he loved them. I specifically think he was in love with Meri. I think he's just trying to pretend it wasn't true. That's my thoughts. There was definitely a lot more said between Robin and Cody. Most of it was him just trying to get her to understand that it was really over between him and Janelle and that polygamy is done for him. He is in a monogamous relationship now with her. I think she's closer to getting it. She says during a confessional that it's just hard for her to let it go. You know, she's dreaming of sitting on that front porch with her sister wives, right? So she's not letting go of that just yet, but I think she's going to have to because everyone else is done. But that's it for this one. I think I've recapped most of the big stuff. You can let me know what you think down in the comments. If I missed anything that you thought was important, let me know. If you haven't already, I hope you'll click like and subscribe and come back to Happily Ever Reality.